Well, hello, neighbors. It's Thursday, not Tuesday. I know I always go live on Tuesday, but had a bit of time here at summer, and a special guest agreed to come on last minute. So, welcome again to the channel, Don from Last Straw. Don, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having us again.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to reach out and chat with yourself specifically, but anyone who's in the Canadian whiskey scene like you are. Don, since we talked about a year ago, I want to say several people have shared that you have been an encouragement or a support or someone to talk to about whiskey, especially out from the east, out in Ontario area, but even beyond that. So I just want to say from the whiskey community, thanks for all that you do.
No, I'm honored to be a part of the whiskey community. I've met a lot of amazing people, and I love talking whiskey. So,
yeah,
works for me.
Good. You and me both. Wish I had more to do with making it, but I sure enjoy having a little bit of it and talking about how it's made. So I appreciate that, Don.
Yep.
Even though we did do a little bit of background, a year ago, several people might be new or may not have caught a bit of your story. So what would you like to share about how you got started in distilling in Ontario? Like, how did you catch the bug, decide to do it? Like, how did that happen for you?
It was basically, I was following a guy. I went to school with, in my town in King City, there was a family called Graham, the Graham family. I went to school with Kelly Graham, and her younger brother, John, later in life ended up opening a brewery in Campbellford, Ontario. And so I was following what John was doing and thinking, how cool is that to be making alcohol for a living? But when I looked at opening a brewery, you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting one. And when I looked into distilling as opposed to that, I realized, wow, I think there was one in Ontario at the time. And that day I went out to visit them, and they were open arms, showed me everything. And I fell in love with it that day and decided I was going to do it.
Oh, that's awesome that early you had a nice welcome into what it could be to make alcohol, but it probably wasn't easy going to get going. But I know that you have been at it for a little while. When was that roughly? Like, when did you start laying down spirits?
Our first distillations were in April of 2015.
Okay.
And we were working weekends only at the time, and then we moved in 2016 to our Vaughan location, and it was still somewhat part-time, and it wasn't until 2017 that it really got full-time.
Okay, right on. Now we're going to get into all different parts of what you do and what you make for your own whiskey. I mean, I know you make other the darker side of the moonshine kind of stuff, but we're obviously a little focused on whiskey. And also want to talk about how you've supported others, because a couple of months ago I talked to Kevin from Spirits for Us. Yeah, and I believe, is that right? Spirits for Us? Spirit for Us. That's what I thought. That's what I said. The Kevin and I think Jeff, but I only talked to Kevin. And I think you actually did some of the distilling for that, or you did the distilling for that. Is that right?
So one of the whiskeys I did provide part of the blend on one of the second whiskeys he did. But what he does, he sources casks from other distilleries.
Oh, right. Sorry, you helped them source the whiskey from
Stillwaters.
Stillwaters. Yeah, and then he had some from Macaloni's, I think.
Yeah, and there's another cask he has too. I'm not 100% sure where it's from, but so we help with that. We bring it in here. We'll do the blending, proofing for him, the bottling. And it sells through us because we control the brand. We own the brand, so it's under our umbrella. But he gets to decide what to do and where it goes, and label, design, names, and all that. We give him carte blanche on that, and we just do what he says.
Okay. No, that's really cool. And thanks for straightening me out with that, and anyone tuning in, because I know you also do distilling work for others, and I thought maybe that was it. But the more you talk, it helped me remember. No. You help them, like you said, blend and bottle, and you own the brand. And I know we can buy it through your website. I see it on your website, so that's where that's available. Thanks for that. But I want to talk about some of the whiskey that you sent me, and pretty quick. One of them is this. Where am I here? sCorn.
Yep.
Now, I would say Although I know you've been making sCorn for a while, for some
Mhm.
reason I didn't clue into it until um, all of a sudden I was becoming aware of heavy corn whiskeys
Mhm.
like bourbons, and
Yep.
I noticed, oh wait, yeah, you guys have this sCorn whiskey. Can you talk to us a bit about this sCorn whiskey? You've been making it long before the craze this year, but like, how did it come about, and what's your thoughts behind it? That kind of thing.
Well, I never intended to make it. What happened was there was a distillery in Toronto called Toronto Distillery Company,
Okay.
and they had purchased some of this malted corn and they mashed it and fermented it. And then all of a sudden they got an order from the LCBO to get some gin done. So they didn't have time or the capacity to distill this material. So they were going to basically throw it away.
Oh.
And Charles Benoit called me and said, "Hey, Don, we're going to throw away this mash. Do you want it?" And I said, "I'm already in my truck with my pump and my tank. I'll be down there." So you offer a distiller something free, they're going to take it.
For
So
sure, yeah.
we grabbed it, brought it up, and we stripped it, and then we did a spirit run, and I was just shocked how good the spirit coming off was. Just as a white spirit, it was excellent. And it's funny, we got one of those IKEA bottles with the swing top.
Yep.
And so we put a sample in that, and the bags of grain came when we bought more. It said sprouted corn. So Brandon, my son, wrote sCorn on the label, and that's I walked in. I go, "What's sCorn?" And he goes, "Oh, that's that sprouted corn." I go, "No, that's going to be the name of this whiskey." So
that's a great name. Even when I was just like telling people we're going to shoot this, I saw sCorn. I'm like, scorned? Is this a woman scorned? What's your scorn? And now it's sprouted corn.
Sprouted corn. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me a bit about though, like, is this like a high corn mash? Is it 100% corn? What? It's
100% malted corn.
Wow. Malted corn. Okay. Can you talk to us a little bit about the casking behind sCorn? Like what do you age it in?
Well, normally we like to age sCorn in the new oak, like a number 2, number 3 char.
Yeah.
American white oak.
I'm opening it, by the way, because I haven't done that yet, and I hope to taste it with you. So keep going.
Okay. Yep. I'll get ready to pour mine. So it's 100% corn. We like to age it in new oak. This one, I believe, started life in a used bourbon and then finished in a port barrel. So it's the first time we've done a port finish to anything.
Okay, but normally, like you said, sCorn's been out for a bit of time. I've seen it even in your previous label style. And I think actually you can still see that on your website, like the awards.
I believe so.
That shows all of them. I think it's yeah. Anyways, and those tended to be new oak, which again would trend a little bit more towards bourbon. But this is, you said port, but what was is it a second fill bourbon or first fill bourbon? Before
it was a first fill bourbon that we did this one in. And a lot of times I want to do new oak work, but if you see the price of new oak barrels, sometimes it's better to get a once used. So we did that, and then the spirit was good, but I thought it needed something, so that's when we put it in the port, and that really just darkened it and gave it a lot of depth. We love it.
Yeah. Now, when you mentioned darkened it, the whiskey looks lovely, but may I ask, is it a natural color?
It's all natural color. Yeah, we don't add color to anything.
And what about filtration? Sometimes it's important to filter, but I do tend to like non-chill. Is it non-chill filtered?
It's non-chill filtered, and it actually says it on the label. It should say, no additives, no artificial coloring, as whiskey should be. Non-chill filtered, sediment will appear.
Right on. Yep, it does say that right there. All I got to do is read, but it's nicer to ask since you're here. Okay. Yeah, price of new oak I know has gone up. There's a lot of interest in that right now, and that's tough for a lot of distilleries. Cheers, Canadian Chris. I see you coming on, and all those that have joined so far. Just trying cheers. Yeah, you jumped in. I was just nosing that.
I've been waiting for this. I've been holding off all day. So
yeah, for sure. And I did say cheers, so I better go into next. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's really rich on the palate. Like I was still nosing, so I'm still getting to know it, but it added, like you mentioned, a depth. Like there's a real, like several layers of flavor coming in. Sometimes 100% corn for me can be a little on the edge of sweet. And now when you said port, I'm like, well, that can also add perhaps a little resinous sweetness going on, but actually it added some leathered fruits for me and a little bit darker things going on. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I find the malted corn doesn't come out as sweet as the straight yellow dent.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is 100% malted corn from Ontario. And I think I could probably call the miller and point to the farm where this came from.
Really?
And I think it may have actually, this corn may have come from the farm he's on.
So what are some of the things that you like about this whiskey? You know, you're the maker, you're the crafter, you went in a different direction with first fill bourbon and port. What are some of the things that capture your interest in this?
I love the first initial hit of heat. It's not like a big burn, but it's a nice warm hit on my tongue immediately for the first sip. And then from there, it just gets like a wonderful mouthfeel, and you get that depth. Like you said, you're getting some of those fruit notes. And it's funny because the first sip, you'll pick up specific ones, but the next sip, you'll get different ones. And it's when, I guess, your palate becomes acclimatized, it just finishes so nicely. And I think the port made the biggest difference in this. And it is, like I said, our first experiment with port.
Well, it's starting for me rich, full, as you describe.
Mhm.
A little darker in the palate than the nose. The nose is still fairly light for me. I'm just getting to know it.
Yeah.
But the palate is like, it's almost that, yeah, it's settling deep, and the finish, port, I have to say, is a bit of a love-hate for me. There are some ports out there that I like, finished whiskeys.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is good, and haven't got it yet here. It's maybe on the edge of some chocolates. Like sometimes it just takes me where I want to go. And sometimes it doesn't. I just want to say sometimes port can be a little beastly for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and I think it also depends how long you go in the barrel for.
sure.
I think this was only 4 months, and because it was the first time finishing, I kept checking it. So like every 2 weeks, we pull a little sample and compare it. And I didn't want the port to overshadow the corn. I wanted the corn to come right through, and the port just to be that little added element, almost just a subtle change to it. But the color was what shocked me the most. Is how much color it picked up from the port barrel.
Wow. Yeah. No, as a natural color, it is a beautiful dark whiskey. Certainly. Yeah. And it's nice that you're, very cognizant, because I've had overcast whiskeys that get away on you maybe, or I don't know. And that's not what I'm getting here at all. You mentioned the heat. I guess it's there, but it's not as hot as I expected. But there's a little bit of peppering now kicking around that I've had a couple of sips. I'm like, okay, there's some spicing maybe from the oak to the different barrels that you got going on.
Yeah, this corn is spicier than the previous one. The previous corn was just a wonderful coating on your mouth. It was soft. It was just a wonderful whiskey. This one has a little more of that spicy burn. It's almost, I swear I put rye in it, but I didn't. It is 100% corn. But it almost reminds me of that little rye finish.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Now, I know that Claude is on here, and he asked just a couple of days ago about the distilling process. And since we're just starting together again, why don't you talk to me about your still work? Like, do you do column? Do you do pot? Do you do a mix of both? How do you like to distill whiskey when you know you're making whiskey? I know you make other spirits, but when you're making a whiskey, how do you usually put that together?
So this whiskey here was done, we mashed it, fermented it, stripped it in a pot still. And then when I say a pot still, it's literally just a stainless steel still. It's got some copper inside of the pot, but it's not like an onion head or anything. It's just a straight tube up and out. And then the finish still is a 4-plate column with copper inside. And we generally finish our whiskeys a little higher. We come out at about 90 and we drop down to about 86 in the run. And we try and hold it there. So it is a hybrid still that we use for finishing.
Okay. Interesting. And then, so you're holding it. Sorry, did you say 86? I was totally listening, but I was distracted by someone saying.
Yeah, no, we start about 90, 91 is when the still gets rolling. When we do our heads cut, we're about there. And then we'll get down to about 86. When we start getting too low, I'm not happy with what I'm getting. So that's when we'll cut it. And then we'll just save the tails for the next run that we're going to do, throw it back in and try and recover that.
Yeah. My understanding, again, not a still guy, just love being around you guys. But my understanding is when you go too deep into there, it can get a little heavier. Some of the oils that come through.
Yeah, you're going to get a heavier spirit from that. And then, in my opinion, just from the experience I have, is if we go deeper in that, the spirit needs a lot more time in the wood to develop. Whereas if we keep the cut nice and tight, nice and hearts, we don't need as much time. And because small distilleries, like, you can't afford to be laying down 18-year-old whiskeys. You need to be getting whiskey every 3 to 5 years. So we made that decision early because we did make some very big mistakes in our first whiskey. So,
well, I imagine it's a learning process, like anything, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you learn yours still, you learn your climate where you are, you learn all the things you need to learn. Yeah. Hey, Canadian Chris asked about, some of the Last Straw is at LCBO. I don't know if it'll make it available in LCBO near you. Hey, Canadian Chris, I don't know where you are, so I don't know how to answer that question.
It's not available in the LCBO. It is available in our store and online. Unfortunately, sCorn is sold out.
Oh.
It sold out way quicker than we thought, and that has a lot to do with the tariffs and the fact that people were looking for their corn fix. And once one guy found out we had it locally, we were starting to sell a lot of it just from the neighbors. So we did burn through that cast pretty quick.
Right. sCorn sold out, but I'm sure, like, this isn't your first batch of sCorn. It's maybe
this is actually batch 3. Batch 2, mistakes were made, so it's going to stay batch 2 for a while in the barrel. There is some more sCorn that we made. It is sitting in once used bourbons.
Okay.
And so we're looking at doing finishes on those, maybe bringing some over into some new oak. And we will be continuing the sCorn line, so there is more coming.
That's good. And in a related note, Pete asked, are you sending it to the Maritimes? But I'm wondering if it's more, can you ship to the Maritimes at this point rather than stocking?
So Canada Post will pretty much ship anywhere in Canada.
Okay.
It's some distilleries won't advertise it. Some won't put it on their websites, but if you call them and pay the shipping, they'll do it. We've had no issue shipping anywhere in Canada, as long as it's Canada Post.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, Pete, I hope you heard that. While it's not stocked on the shelves in the Maritimes, Canada Post will get it to you. Not this batch of sCorn. Is there going to be another one? And I heard that, it's laying in ex-bourbon right now. You're fixing batch 2, but the next batch is working on it.
Well, fixing or just hoping it evaporates and I don't have to deal with it is another possibility.
Hey, I've been talking, interesting, the last 2 folk that I've talked to really talked to me about humidity in barrel aging, and I never really thought about that. You are blessed to be in Ontario, where your humidity is naturally higher than where I am out in the prairies. Mm-hmm. But I talked to prairie folk. Apparently, it's really, really important that you either humidify where you're barrel aging, or Gurpreet from Anoka actually built his rick house kind of over a piece of soil that has a natural water underneath it, so he gets nice humidity. When you're aging your stuff, are you cognizant of that, or you do have enough natural humidity being where you are in Ontario?
For a lot of the first years, we just had to deal with the room we had. So when we had the first unit, it was whatever that room was. Then when we opened up the second unit, we weren't so much cognizant of humidity, but we were more temperature control, trying to keep as much cold as we could keep in the unit in the winter to get that transfer. And then in the summer, as much heat as we could get. So we weren't too cognizant of humidity, but it was more temperature for us. And now we're in a third place where we're storing. So it's a whole different animal. I'm going to have to relearn what we're doing there.
Right. Because every place has its own good and challenge, right? I'm sure every place.
That's why I love doing single cask whiskeys, because you can say, well, each cask is different. So.
Yeah. No kidding. Well, it's actually disappointing for people watching that this particular sCorn is sold out, because the way you finished it in port is actually really nice. You mentioned good mouthfeel. I'm sure that's true I've noticed it in your other whiskeys, so it's something that I know you do well. But I will say that little bit of port, or just enough port, or whatever you want to call it, gave it a depth of flavor for me that I wasn't expecting in 100% corn whiskey. And not that you can't get good flavor out of 100% corn. I'm not saying that, but and you mentioned malted corn, and I think that's also helping me because I think non-malted corn, like you said, the dent corn or whatever the standard, can be a little thin and a little sweet.
Yeah, it can. We have done straight corn work. It is a little thinner on the flavor. It is sweeter. That's why we like working with the malted corn. But unfortunately, the malted corn is a lot more expensive than standard corn.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's whiskey one. I want to talk about another whiskey that came out, and I don't. Is this one sold out too? If it's sold out too, we're just breaking hearts. And okay,
you can still buy it.
Okay. So this is, we both have a bottle of stout whiskey. So I'm going to try to open it. And can you talk us a little bit about the stout whiskey while I try to get it open?
Well, when I watched your promo, you said it was a whiskey finished in a stout barrel.
I know.
It's not. It's a stout beer mash distilled into a whiskey.
I may have read that after. I'm terrible. I go off like one word and then I think I know things. I clearly was wrong. Thank you.
Everybody does that mistake.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that, they took a stout beer barrel, but nope.
Yeah. But this instead was stout beer mash.
Yes.
That you then distilled into this whiskey.
Into the spirit. Yeah. So into the spirit. And then we aged this one in new oak.
Okay. And it is 45%, I think. Yep. And you've mentioned, now I didn't read the small label. Obviously, I'm very bad at reading. But can you confirm as well, this is natural, non-chill, just the way whiskey should be?
Yep. No additives, no artificial coloring as whiskey should be. Non-chill filtered, sediment will appear.
Awesome. That is awesome. Because it's actually also quite dark. Now, when you do age in new oak, can you share what kind of char level you tend to buy at or ask for?
A 2 and a 3. I like to work with both.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do a whiskey that I want out in 3 years, it's going to be a 3. If I don't mind, if I have some time, I'll let it go a little more.
Okay. And charred, not like toasted and charred or anything with toasting. It's
just I usually do a number 2 or a number 3. I don't like number 4s like some of the guys are using, and then there's even like a deeper char than that. And I find that over oaks things.
Okay.
Every time we've worked with the number 4, we've had some trouble.
Oh boy, yeah. Now this, like, just in contrast, because that's often how we experience whiskey.
Yeah.
This is quite different.
Mm-hmm. Oh, night and day.
Yeah. And this is like when you say a stout beer mash, does that mean it was all barley? Like, what is a stout beer mash? Like,
so this mash is 90+% 2-row malted barley.
Okay.
And then it has a bit of a toasted malt that's been added to it.
Oh, okay. Okay, but it's wow. I don't know if it's the casking I'm getting on here, but for me, it's quite well, you should tell me rather than me, but it is a little greener, a little there's a little bit of grapefruit citrus going on. There's something else just interesting in this nose that's kind of playing with me here. What do you get on it?
I get like a sweetness, almost like a candy off the first time I nose it.
Yeah.
And then that candy goes into like a fruit candy note near the end. But everyone noses and palate's different. And I've also been.
I know, and I'll get stuff that people are like, I'm not getting any of that. That's fine. I'm just in contrast. Like I know Tyler just poured this stout, and he said like he gets chocolate pudding on the nose, and that's closer to candies and fruits. But for me, in contrast, I'm getting more chocolates back here on the port one than Tyler, who said he was getting chocolate off this. Interesting. Wow, it is sweeter. But I'm also getting a sweet sour. I don't know why I am. I'm getting a bit of citrus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wild. Okay, well, cheers. I want to try it. what is with my nose and palate today? So different because it also came far more alive in the palate. And I can now get some of what Tyler was talking about, like just a little bit more of the chocolates in this one. Wow. What do you get in the palate?
I get the chocolate, like almost like a chocolate toffee mix. And
a sweeter. I like the toffee note that you just said. I like that. I got to just clear a bit of water.
Yeah, and I've had a couple people actually say they get like almost a banana note, almost like chocolate banana.
I am still not getting it on the nose, but on the palate, I get some of that chocolate pudding. But sweet toffee chocolate mix. I like that. I like where you went with that. A little bit more oak structure, a little bit more like my palate just feels a little, not furry, that's the wrong word, but I'm just feeling it a little more, and a little more tannins in there. Now, I just watched the Heathens talk about this stout, and a couple of them went blind. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
And they guessed it blind. They're like, oh, it's got to be from Last Straw. And you've been super generous sharing your whiskey with me, and I really appreciate that. But I don't think I would get your house style yet. Do you think this represents, like when you taste this, you're like, oh yeah, that came off our still?
To me, it's unmistakable. But I've also lived the journey of the white spirit. So stout had another interesting history. The first stout we did, there was only 71 bottles. And it was done because the brewery I was working with had put stout in one of my barrels, and then they had a bit of an accident where they overheated the barrel with a steam line. And so they were going to throw the beer out, and I distilled it. And I aged it in a small barrel, and we had 70 bottles, and we sold them out.
Yeah.
Then the next round, we decided, hey, let's do this on purpose. And the next stout came out was actually called Stout Spirit, because it was only aged for 6 months. And that sold out.
Really?
Yeah. And then we went to Stout Whiskey, and that sold out. Like, everybody just loves this stout. And this actually does, I guess, class as a single malt.
Yeah, yes. You're a distillery, and as you mentioned, all malt, so for sure.
Yeah. And so, you know, it is a very interesting and different single malt. I'll say that. But again, I never intended to make this. This was just another happy accident.
Oh, no, it's very flavorful. It would take me a while to get this as a single malt. I think I'd really have to chew on it because it does have a very unique set of flavors on it. And it just bursts in flavors. Like I'm sorry if I don't mean, I just got to share what I'm getting tonight, and tomorrow it's gonna be different. Like, it's just like, I agree. Palates are different, times are different. And I right now, because the only two whiskeys I've had tonight are up here, it's a lot about the contrast as well, not specifically what I would get maybe one on the other.
One thing I find with the stout, and I think it was it Josh that was saying, he gets a bitter finish. Yeah. It's almost like a bit like after you eat bitter chocolate, and you've swallowed it, and it's on your palate, and you get that little bit of finish at the back of your mouth. That's what I get, is a bitter note as well. And when he said that, I remembered, yeah, that's exactly what I get.
Yeah. Okay. And Jay mentions old-fashioned caramel toffee candies he can get off this, so that's good. Yeah, and Tyler, it's something about Halloween candy kisses. I won't go that far. That's really sweet. That's more than I would go.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how. I think this is just a 3-year-old whiskey. I think it was 3 years and a day.
But it doesn't have like some 3-year-old and a day whiskeys for me still have a fair amount of alcohol bloom. They just feel a little alcoholic. They just have a little toluene marker, and that also could be where they've, like, how short they've done their head run or whatever. Like, there's all sorts of ways I know that can create that. But I just want to say, like, for me right now, that's not here. Like, if you had said this is 5 years, I'd be like, okay, I can live with that.
No, it does drink way past its age.
Yeah, for sure. Now,
we have a sister cask that's down, and so we're not sure how long we're going to let that one go.
Okay.
But we did two from the same run in identical casks.
Oh.
Yeah, see,
and now
cocoa type, yeah.
Yeah, but now that we've had a little bit of this, we're hearing some tasting notes from folk that obviously have it. For those that don't, this one, if you go on your website, you still can order it.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. We still have some left.
Now, you said it was a sister cask. Is this a single cask product?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like I knew you were smaller run, and you did kind of maybe mention that, but I thought you were saying batches, like maybe 2 barrels or 3.
Yeah. So we did about a ton of this in grain form, so that makes just over 2 barrels, depending on what grain used. We generally get like 2.2 to 2.4 barrels worth at 63%. So we did 2 of them at the same time.
Cool. That's really, really cool. So we're going to come back and talk this whiskey again, but you have another whiskey that caught my eye on your website that I don't have, but I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna hunt down. Can you talk to me about this? Yes, that amber one. Just share a little bit with the group, because I know it's also available on your website. In fact, I'll show that to people here. So that you can see this amber whiskey. And I don't know, like, talk to us what this means. The Southern Ontario Sippers Barrel Select. Is that a partnership?
So Bobby from the Southern Ontario Sippers, he heard about us years ago, and he came by, and one day I was just moving barrels around, and I said, well, do you want to try some barrel pulls? And he goes, yes, please. So we went in the back and we started pulling some barrels, and I pulled this one, and it was based on an amber beer. So it was the mash that Lake Wilcox used to use for their Mad Quacker beer, they called it. And it was basically a Vienna style amber. Okay. And so they made a mash for me with that and hopped it as if they were going to make the beer, but we used distiller's yeast in it. And then we distilled it, and I didn't have a lot of barrels around, so I think it was actually in a twice used bourbon. Now, it may say a once used, because I think we weren't 100% sure, because I did do a barrel finish on this as well. Okay. But it sat for 7 years and 1 month in that barrel, in the 70% range. And Bobby kept bugging me about this cask. And every time he'd see me, he goes, oh, I keep thinking of that. And he would call it Hopsky, because he tasted hops. And he says, you should call it Hopsky, and you should release it at 73 or whatever. I said, no, I'm not going to release it at 73. And I'm not calling it Hopsky. So, but he was over, and I pulled it again, and he goes, it's just missing this one thing. We're not sure. And I said, well, I think I know what it is. So I ended up having a maple brulee barrel I got from Quebec, which is basically ex-bourbon maple syrup filled. And then when they dump the maple syrup, they char the remnants. So you get really, Hopsky's a cool name. You get this really nice caramel maple syrup effect. So I had it in there for 4 months, and I texted Bobby, or I emailed him. I said, hey, I think it's ready. And so he came over, he tried it, and he was like, absolutely. And then he said, I want to make this a barrel select for our group. And I said, no problem. So yeah, we put their logo on, and he promoted it. We were supposed to release it on the Monday. He started promoting it on the Friday. We come in on the weekend, and we had orders galore coming in. People calling.
This one's gonna go fast. I'm telling you. After we're done talking, it's in my cart, and I am buying this one, Don.
Yeah. And it's. I
mean, you make great whiskey, and 63, 7 years, $75. That's a. Please send it my way. You bet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm starting to get a mental barrier of going over $75. Because I think there's a lot of really good whiskeys you can buy for $85, $90. I'm not saying I'm not making good whiskey, but it's to get it in people's hands. I think at this stage of our business is more important than profiting from it. I know it's anti-business, makes almost no sense, but if the whiskey's too high priced, a lot of people are just going to bypass it. Whereas if it's more reasonable, I think you're going to get more people willing to give it a shot, and then you get a new customer, someone interested in your stuff, and then.
Well, and I can agree with you. And the last couple of folk I've talked with, each of them had a lower proof in their stable, like a 40%er, and they actually said it was because a lot of people get into whiskey at that, and they said actually it gets out to most people, and I can respect that you want to get it in the hands of people, but but 7 years is costly. You're
Mhm.
losing share every year.
Yep.
63% is also costly. If you're cutting that down to 40, I mean, you would never do that. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there's reasons why a bottle like this sure could have been more than 75 in today's market, Don. So I mean,
Mhm.
I just saying, like you're priced well for the craft and quality releases you put out, Don. Thank you.
Yeah. Like the most expensive one other than the spirit for us would be our stout whiskey, our rice whiskey. And I didn't set the price on the rice whiskey. A whiskey club from Switzerland tried it, and they offered us so much money for the cask
Right.
that we had to back it up and charge $120 to make up for what we didn't get by selling the cask in bulk, which I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we released it. But yeah, they offered like over $12,000 for the cask.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever drop in and see any of my shows, Don, but I have brought your rice whiskey into the conversation probably every 3 or 4 months. I continue to appreciate that whiskey for its uniqueness. It's well done, great taste. That's not what I'm saying, but it also is, I've been having a few whiskeys or like over the week or whatever, and then it's almost like a palate reset. Like it's just different. It makes me go, oh, okay, wait, what's going on? And I really appreciate the flavors. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, and we get that effect from a lot of people. Like I remember when we first started pouring it at shows, you would get the first look on the person's face would be confusion, and the second look would be acceptance, and then third look would be, wow, this is really good whiskey. And it is. I think it's a phenomenal whiskey. It's very delicate, really nice.
Yeah. Oh, glad to know, Ty, that you shot the rice. I'll get on there too and take a look at your thoughts on that. That's really, really cool. So the amber we've talked about, I think great value. I mean, I don't have it. You could tell me how good it is, but I can't taste it with you. Like, what's the main notes that you would want to shout out about the amber whiskey? Like, what do you think it's kind of some of the characters that'd be interesting?
It's bold. It's very bold. Very strong flavors. It's somebody actually came in to buy the third and fourth bottle today that I've already bought two and finished them, and said that he used to make amber beer at home, and it reminds him so much of those flavors, getting that flavor from that deep amber beer. And so it basically distilled those flavors, and the hop to me comes through on the end. You actually pick up the hops that are in it.
Really? Okay.
It's again, it's pretty much a single malt whiskey as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know the mash bill off the top of my head, but predominantly malted barley. And then I think there might be a flavored malt in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I can go back to the people that did the mash bill and figure that out. But it's been so long.
Yeah, that's right. It's going back now. 7 years and a bit, right? 7 years and a month.
7 years, 5 months.
5 months. Okay, 5 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. So we've talked through stout and sCorn, and sorry for those online. This particular sCorn is sold out, but hopefully one's coming. Stout's still there if you're interested in what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But what else? I love to know, like, how do we know what's coming? Do you have a newsletter? We've shared. You can ship across Canada. How do we stay in touch? And then I want to know what's coming.
So we do have a I think it's a newsletter. I don't do that part of it. Mike Hook does it, and he generally puts out a quarterly. He tries not to inundate people with too much stuff, but also he's busy and doesn't half the time know what I'm doing, so we don't communicate well. We have to get better at doing that. I have been actually working a little bit on the rum side now, and I did an experiment where I tried to spice a rum without spicing a rum.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is I use barrel treatments to bring spice flavors in.
Oh.
So I took a blackstrap rum. I did 2 barrels in ex-bourbon for 8 months. I pulled them out, and I did 4 months in a light toasted Amburana on one. And I did another one for 4 months in a maple brulee barrel.
Okay.
Pulled them out and blended them, and it gives you a spiced rum.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. It should be coming out in about a week's time.
Okay.
And that's my first experiment in that. I didn't ever want to make a spiced rum, but doing it this way, somehow I'm enjoying that process. And I think it's a lot better than just throwing spices at a rum. As far as whiskey's coming out, I've got to make some decisions.
Okay.
I'm finishing the port barrel. I believe I'm finishing a rye in it now
Okay.
to see what that does. Yeah, I didn't expect this.
Curious about what your next rye might be. I've had a couple of your cast strength ryes, and I really like your ryes. I do.
Yeah. I think the next rye is probably looking either end of this year or beginning of next.
Okay.
And a lot of time the problem is we get busy with contracts. I don't lay enough stuff down to keep a cycle going. And then sometimes, you go try the barrel at 3.5, 4 years, and it's like, nope, it's missing something. Like I've got a single malt that's, oh God, I think it's pushing 6.5 years now. And I just tried it, and nope, that's going away. I may have to put that in something else. Because one thing I don't want to put out a whiskey that's bad.
No, of course. Yeah.
Your reputation can go away in a minute. So
yeah, no kidding.
We're very careful what we put out.
Yeah. I appreciate that you've been out now for a while. You said like 2016 was more serious, or 2015 you started, 2016. So you've now, you've dialed it in. You have a few things a little longer in the cask.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like you said, this one is really, younger, but when it's ready. So that's good that you have a bit of a library there.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're learning, and it's like in this business, you learn every day, which is the cool part.
And I would like to think, like with sCorn selling out, that I hope a number of Canadians tune in here, tune in on the replay, start to realize the quality of whiskeys that are available from your place, or whether you sell on LCBO or whatever, but definitely from your place. And that should be where we are exploring. If certain whiskeys are not on the shelf that we usually reach for, perfect opportunity to look for what are we making.
Absolutely, yeah.
I just think that's a great, and I have to say, like, since the turn of the year, and then things. Now I'm in Alberta, so weirdly it looks like bourbon's all back on the shelves or whatever. Not buying it.
We don't have any.
Yeah, but I know yourself, and I think BC. Maybe I think Manitoba as well, for sure. I'm not sure about Saskatchewan, but with that portion of whiskey gone, it just creates a natural curiosity, I hope, in the viewers here to say, what are we making here? And these are a couple of very different. I have to say, Don, these are very different whiskeys. I'm really thankful to have this. The 100% corn and 100% barley, though I know it's a stout beer, mash barley. And they really play differently across my palate tonight, which is exciting. I love that. Yeah. So now we've heard what's coming next. I'm going to be signing off soon, you guys. Those that have joined, do you have any questions for Don or I? Mostly Don. I just try to funnel them at Don because he's the guy making whiskey. I'm just like you guys. I'm just enjoying it and sipping it along. I have asked just about everybody the same question. So I am going to ask it, which is, have you played around with peat at all? Have you thought about, what's your thoughts on a peated whiskey?
I've taken a peated barrel, and I put a whiskey in a peated barrel. I didn't really like the whiskey going in, and I wasn't the greatest fan of the whiskey coming out. So I ended up selling that cask off to somebody. I would like to do a peated barrel one day, but I think I'd like to do it with proper peated barley. It's just
Now there's different shoot, the word went right out of my head. I'm thinking of red shed malting here in Alberta.
Yeah,
there are different malters and grain providers in Ontario. Are there people in Ontario that are providing a peated? Because some of the people I've talked to said, no, I'm still buying from Scotland. They still produce what I need.
Yeah, I think we have to buy from Scotland. I don't know that there's anyone peating, and I haven't looked that deep into it. I know Red Shed does some really cool malts and stuff. We've been dying to work with them. We just haven't had the opportunity. Every time I get a program that looks like it'll go that way, it ends up falling apart and doesn't work.
Too bad. They are doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, I really like what they're doing. But as far as peat goes, I haven't seen anyone doing it. Not that somebody isn't, but I have looked into getting some peat in from Scotland, and down the road I might do it. But if I'm going to do it, I'd rather do a bigger batch. Maybe if we ever get our big still running, I wouldn't mind doing it in that.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm always curious because Peat's like one of my first and then temperamental loves. I don't know how else to describe it. Like I just got into peat pretty hard maybe 10, 15 years ago, and now like I can go into a season of peat and I just love it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, nope, I like this like a PX or a sherry or a port, or like I'm looking at other cask finishings than that character of peat. But it's still curious, and I'd like to see. I haven't opened it yet, but the Canadian whiskey, I don't know if you've tried it from Macaloni's, is a peated whiskey.
Oh, I think I did. I think Kevin brought me a sample of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So. That's one thing I love working with Kevin from Spirit for Us is he always has cool little samples he brings me.
Yeah, that is really cool. You get to try some pretty unique stuff.
Oh yeah. I live vicariously through the disposable income my colleagues and customers have. So
fair enough. But I also love to hear the work that you're doing, though, Don. And I started where I want to end, which is to thank you both for great whiskey, great experiences, for this conversation. And I will share again, the people that talk to me behind the scenes, not live like this, have brought you up several times as someone who, as you described, someone helped you kind of early on, like, hey, come on in, this is what it's like. I've heard that of yourself, and I just want to say thank you for doing that for the whole industry.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for the night, Don. Thanks for everyone who joined us, you guys. Again, check out their website. They ship across Canada. Doing good things. That amber, don't know how long it's going to last. It's going to be a few less after we get off here tonight, at least coming my way.
I hope so.
Thanks, you guys. You guys have a great night.